Are there any individuals wishing to make comment? Members
No,
of the
there aren't.
public? There are none. Approval of minutes. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Are there any changes to the work plan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are two minor changes to the work plan. This month we had planned an update on the capital program amendment. That amendment will be coming to the board in April, so we'll be doing an update at that point. And also next month we had scheduled an update on positive train control. Right now the agencies are in the process of retaining a systems integrator, so once they get on board we'll be coming back to CPOC with an update on that project.
Everybody all right with that? Now we will entertain a motion to go into executive session in accordance with the New York Public Offices Law, Section 105(1)A, relating to matters which will imperil the public safety if disclosed. Is there a motion? Second. We're in executive session. Are we ready to go back into session? I mean, we're out of executive session. Are we ready? Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is a report from our capital construction company. Michael?
Yes. Okay. Going to start reporting on something that we have not reported to date. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, this is first? Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought it was regional investment first. Okay. Let me just go back to the other one. I'm sorry. It's too high tech here. Okay. Going to report on the east side access. Basically, can you, do I have a clicker here or something?
You want somebody to hit the lights?
That's okay. I think you can see it. Can I get a clicker that will make it easier for me? Thank you. I guess.
And if somebody could hit the lights, that would be great.
Okay. Since May 2012 rebaseline, we received last October bids for Manhattan Structure. It was a very large contract, and we were $365 million over the budget. And at the time, after consultation with the chairman, the bids were rejected in November 2012. And this is one thing that happened. And then since that time, we also the RFP negotiations for the systems contract are ongoing. The Manhattan Structure required us to go back to the drawing board and first learn what went wrong. And the feedback from the post-bid briefing with individual bidders basically told us certain things. And what we learned is that the major cost drivers were the complexity of the job caused by the geography. I mean, in this regard, there are 9 miles of tunnels. The job was 3 miles long. That require people to work on many locations concurrently in order to maintain schedule. And as well as we found that the precast that we originally put in place, thinking that that will help us getting the project done faster, turned out to be a high risk in terms of transport and installation, and that was also a result of higher cost. Some of the fact that we're working concurrently at a number of locations clearly increase our the demand for management, productivity. All of these things turned out to be an issue during the for the bid itself. The forward strategy, and in order to determine that, after we met extensively with the contractor, we held meetings with the IEC and presented alternatives to validate our plan. The discussions have been ongoing, and one of the things that we have done is to break it up into 3 smaller contracts. One is the southern end that goes from 44th Street to 37th Street. The northern part, and that is north of the caverns. It goes from about 50th Street all the way to about 63rd Street or thereabouts. And then we had a cavern contract that only focused on the 2 caverns, that is the station, and this is primarily to come up with the finishes. That's where, by the way, the precast was supposed to come in. And that was also beefed up by some strategic change orders. It means that in order to move forward the work, we have taken smaller bites and we attach it to current contracts. So what we could do is to advance the work. At this point, the southern contract, we produce estimates, and we expect to go out to bid sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. And the remaining 2 contracts, the northern and the caverns, it will be basically advertised following us actually producing additional independent estimates and additional risk assessments. One of the things that we have done is modify contract specifications and improve labor productivity by having extensive discussions with the SENHOGs. Forward strategy is basically how to proceed with the system work that the negotiations are continuing. The IEC is bringing on board an additional specialized expertise to assess the risk of award and interface issue with the civil contracts. And the RFP negotiations that we are right now ongoing with the system bidders will be determined after the independent assessment has been completed.
Excuse me, would
sorry.
you translate that one into English? I mean, I understand now that all the tunnels are done, and these are basically finishing and systems final contracts at the end of the process. What do you need an additional specialized expertise to assess risk of award? What does that mean?
The concern has been the potential interface with the civil contracts, that if in the event that one civil contract does not necessarily end when we expect it to, there is a certain risk of actually having the system contract not having the handover on a timely basis, and therefore we are looking at ways for us to be able to mitigate that, because that will imply a delay and additional cost.
Right, but I mean, some contracts aren't finished on time. We know that. What's additional specialized expertise going to do to help you? I don't get it.
We need to be sure that the phasing of these contracts are such that we don't award a contract, and then the contract that we award to the systems contractor, he can't get in there because the other work isn't done, and then we're subject to the delay claims. This is a very complicated project. It's run a number of years. We've got another number of years to go, 6 years to go, and we're taking actions right now that will may be the last time that we can affect a change of control on this project to make sure that it comes in on time and on budget.
But you go and see if a contractor, you ask for a progress report and you see how far along he is. What do you need additional specialized expertise to figure that out for?
This is the second largest public works contract in the history of the United States. The other one was the Big Dig. And we need to take a look at this to make sure that we're making the right decisions now before the die is cast, no pun intended.
Anyone else?
Okay, I'm sorry, I still don't get it, but go ahead.
The next steps, we'll return in the spring, at the end of the spring, to CPOC when we are going to be a little smarter.
Does this delay the completion by several months or something? What does this additional expertise do to our long delayed time schedule? We know the answer to that riddle.
Let me try in this. I don't think the additional expertise will necessarily add to the timeline. What we'd like to do is try to keep it on time and assess risk. That's the entire point of the exercise.
But are we convinced that it's worthwhile to try and stay on time? You know, what you're explaining is you're breaking it up into fragments, and you have noticed that the progression of the different fragments is not likely to go on schedule. I mean, is it conceivable that we should be building that in at this point and realizing that, I mean, trying to do something which is virtually impossible is just going to cost us more and we're going to be delayed anyway, and maybe we should actually lay it out so that it takes a little longer and might be actually safer and cheaper, conceivably?
At this point, I believe that the path that we're following is an optimum path given the junction that we are at. Clearly, by breaking up the big civil contract into pieces, it will help us, and I don't necessarily, it wasn't clear, we had some delay that because we had basically throughout the bids, we rejected the bids on the big project, so we are breaking it up. I believe that is because the way we approach it will save money, number one, and the various pieces are at different ends, so a lot of the work can be done concurrently. Now, that being said, the system is, as Tom said, is an all-encompassing project that is not only the system but the integration, and we have to be very careful as to how we're going to look at it to make sure and put in place, by the way, provisions that if there is a delay, we can actually deal with that a priori. It's easier to negotiate up front rather than later on, and I think that we need, in the next couple of months, to be able to go through an additional evaluation. So therefore, everyone will be comfortable that if we go that way, this is really the optimal thing, and we're all going to be on the same page.
Anyone else? Finally, it's worthwhile. I'm sorry, Chuck? Finally, it's worth.
I beg your pardon. I would just observe that the idea that this project is going to be on time and on schedule went by a long time ago. When you go back to the beginning and you look at what we had in mind when we got committed to this thing in terms of cost and timing, I mean, it's good to figure out how best to do it, obviously, but I just think that we shouldn't feel that somehow we're in an arbitrary box here that it's of our making, and we already busted it so many times. I'm not sure we should worry too much about it.
Well, Mark, the issue really is the independent consultant is an employee of the board. Reports to us, and that's the entire point. It's belt and suspenders for us, and we're doing what I think should be doing.
To answer Dr. Page, the longer you're in there, the more it seems to cost also.
Yeah,
Is there anyone else? Michael, do you want to add anything?
I'm done. I would like to move to regional investments.
Okay.
Oh, the IC? I'm sorry, apparently. No, they're not.
No,
Okay.
regional investments.
Let me regional investments is something that we have never reported to the board, to the CPOC. And the first question that one ought to ask is, what is a regional investment? And these are improvements to the Harrell interlocking that benefits the regional transportation network, and that includes the Long Island Railroad, Amtrak, New Jersey Transit, and Metro North. So whatever work is being done under this budgetary pot of money is something that addresses the regional benefit rather than a specific benefit for one railroad or another. The projects that are included, and I'm going to just mention a few, is the westbound bypass and the eastbound reroute. These are two, and I'll explain it a little bit more in detail, two bypasses that allows a lot of the conflicts that exist today between Amtrak and Long Island Railroad to disappear. We are also doing a car wash replacement in the process and some other reconfiguration of an interlocking. The improvements are funded in the MTA capital program, but they are funded, and I'll explain in a moment how they're funded. The construction of grade separated, and again, that's important. That's how we move away from conflicts. The westbound and eastbound routes through, oh, I'm sorry, I did not do that. Separation is grade separated and will clearly increase schedule reliability as well as the train speeds between Penn Station and the New Haven line. The construction of regional investments basically will result in an operational, robust approach to the complex, to the Harold interlocking, and accommodate really growth and future needs of the various railroads going through there. And in order to be more efficient, it was at the time determined that this has to be done concurrently with the East Side Access Project. And by doing that, we have, in effect, a more cost-effective approach enabling similar construction in the same geographic area to be undertaken not by two contractors, but by one contractor, although they're funded from different pots. And that will allow, obviously, the truck outages to be better. Now, how are we paying for that? Now, in July of 2009, the budget was $484 million, all local. That means all MTA funded. In May 2012, although the budget grew somewhat by $106 million from 2009 and 2012, and by the way, this is just, we did not do any work in between, so just so you understand, this was, but what did happen is that we got funding from the feds under the high-speed intercity passenger rail program, and we got $297 million, so therefore it significantly reduced the share of MTA. We went from 484 to 292, so we are talking about basically $192 million less for us, and that was replaced by the federal dollars that are being put in place. The money is separated into two plans, the 2010-14 and 15-19, and this is very clearly identified. One of the things that I must mention is that the federal dollars, the 297, have a sunset in 2017, so we must finish the work by 2017. That's how, there is a condition for the funding. Excuse me? I do not know. No? No. The answer is no. There are major contracts.
So when we're building tracks, it's better to have one contractor, and after the tracks are done, we're doing the finishing, it's better to have three contractors? I mean, how does that make sense?
The major contracts in 13-14 will be the westbound bypass, the $141 million, the eastbound reroute, and the interlocking. The westbound bypass right now, and I've mentioned it today at the Long Island Railroad meeting this morning, that we're doing work this summer to prepare for this tunneling to occur, and we're doing it as part of this 1 month that we're getting the ability to go in uninterrupted. Now, the conflicts in Harold right now, if you look at it, all of these red dots are the conflicts between Long Island Railroad and Amtrak. Amtrak comes in on this line here. I don't know if I can point to that, probably. Yeah. Amtrak comes like this, right? And it cuts over a number of places, creating a conflict. As we move on, this is the new line that will be built. So this is outside, and this is a grade separated here. And we still have two conflicts, but we have eliminated, in effect, 4 other conflicts that we had on the line. So that's an improvement on that. This is, we'll have a grade separated bypass about 7,000 feet long, and includes a tunnel construction, retaining walls, and we expect to give a notice to proceed this August 2013. This is following actually the completion of this work that we have agreed with Long Island Railroad that we actually can separate that and they can do the work, we can do the work without them operating certain lines.
The tunnel is a mile and a half?
Yes. No, 7,000. No, 7,000 is the whole thing.
Tunnel's only about 300.
The tunnel about 400 feet, but we have the approaches to it. Let me show it, because I think this is what you can see here. Here is the tunnel that goes under, right, and goes to the other side. It's kind of a cartoon type to just show how it works. On the other side, on the eastbound, again, what we have is the eastbound going through, and we have, you see right here, it cuts over in these 2 locations. What we're doing here, we're creating another grade separated area here, and we eliminate these 2 specific things. And just to, again, this is May next year, we're going to be awarding that. And if you look at it, again, this is the grade separation that we get it through, and it just tries to depict the location of it. And it's important to see that this is really next to other rails, so that has to be constructed while the trains are operating. Yes?
Could you put your microphone on, Chuck?
What steps, if any, can't hear you, Chuck.
Could you put your microphone on, Chuck?
The microphone.
What steps, it doesn't work.
Try this one.
They were smart, they disconnected me.
Obviously not.
What steps can or need to be taken to stop water runoff on the left on the bank and on the right on the bank? Do they need to take any?
There will be additional drainage that will be installed as part of the ongoing improvements, both on the east side access portion of the work as well as the regional investment. So there'll be an upgraded to the sewer to collect all the water and get it away from the tracks.
Okay.
That's actually summarizes the regional investment. So if any other question, we're glad to answer.
Michael, earlier, in an earlier slide, you mentioned that this was going to speed train service between Penn Station and New Haven, and you mentioned this would help Amtrak, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. I assume by Metro North you're presupposing at some point Metro North is going to be running on the Hellgate Bridge route?
I'm trying to presuppose nothing. I'm saying that, right, I have enough trouble.
Well, to say it's going to help.
That would be the alignment into Penn Station off the New Haven line.
Off the
Yes,
New
it
Haven
would.
line, yeah.
Yes, it would. So that's why you say that will benefit Metro
Yes.
North. Okay. Let's just want to be clear on.
Okay. Then, if we're done with that, we have a couple of slides for second, oh, the IEC? Yes, the IEC?
Yes, thank you, Michael.
I'm sorry.
So these are the remarks from the IEC on the regional investments.
They want his
The
discussion.
budget for the regional investment projects has increased by $106 million between June of 2009 and June of 2012 to $590 million. Capital plan needs are broken down at the 2010 to 14 plan, $459 million. The 15 to 19 plan requires an additional $131 million for the 590. MTA has repackaged the major work in Harold, eastbound and westbound bypass, and IEC has requested an independent estimate be performed for all the remaining work in Harold. Regional investments funded by the high-speed rail grant must be expended by July of 2017 as of now to ensure that full federal funding reimbursement of $294 million. Sorry.
By remaining work.
The remaining work in Harold for the regional investments. So you have the
Beyond-
eastbound, westbound bypass.
Beyond those two.
There is other work that takes
Right,
place.
that's what I mean,
yes,
beyond
sure,
those two
there's-
contracts.
Right, you have an Amtrak car wash, you have a loop interlocking, and a few other major elements in there.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Michael, you're doing Fulton Center now?
Fulton Center and Second Up. Okay. Project on schedule for June 2014, substantial completion. We are trending below the current budget of $1.4 billion. And some of the progress to mention, we achieved substantial completion for the contract CD for 5-station rehab, Day Street Concourse and the underpass last December. Curtain wall progress is currently at 90%, talking about the curtain wall, and you saw some of the pictures today, with the remaining 20% being left open for deliveries and the doors to the building. The 90-day look ahead, we expect to have substantial completion on the Corbin building, and this is about 1 month later than we have planned, and contract for BAC mezzanine 3 months later than planned. This will not impact the revenue date. We are continuing negotiation to bring the master lessee on board to maintain and operate Fulton. When we look at the total project versus the rebaseline, talking about the actual, we are basically through January, right now we're about 95% of the plan, the actual, and as part of third-party construction, we are ahead. So basically this shows just kind of the fact that the soft costs are, in our view, that's good. They're not catching up with what we planned. So by doing that, we hope to end up, we have right now, if we look at that $53 million in the contingency, and you can see it right here, and we have 20% to go, and we still have 43% of the contingency. As far as the contingency on schedule, we have 146 days. Again, the same thing. We have about 80% of the original contingency still left, and we feel comfortable that we'll bring it within the schedule, or potentially ahead of it.
You don't always feel obligated to use the contingency
I don't feel
expenses, do you?
obligated at all.
All right.
Okay, but we have a date, and this is the date. If we do it earlier, good. We will look at that when we get there. The interim maintenance for the Fulton Center elements is one of the things that, since we do not have yet the master lessee on board, there are certain maintenance things that we have to provide before they come on board, and we are mitigating by bringing a third-party maintenance group to manage until the master lessee will be on board. So that's the mitigation that we provided. As far as the master lessee, we have an aggressive schedule, and we really looking to have a master lessee on board this summer, and that's continued right now pretty much on schedule. There is one issue that part of that oculus that you have seen, we have to hang a very complex netting below it, and there was flagged as a potential delay to the project if assembly is delayed. We have done some very sophisticated surveys to mitigate any discrepancy, and we basically expect to, in the second quarter, for that netting to be installed. It's really on the way to be done. IEC?
to what extent, if any, has there been interfacing with the Port Authority in terms of its work in and near the site?
The Port Authority is supposed to complete their work on the other side of the wall, so to speak. We have pretty much done our work on this side of the wall. I think that we are talking to them as to when they are ready to open the wall. We are ready to accept that. There are discussions also with the port regarding the connection to the E. That's something, again, our discussions. We are ready. When they are finishing their work, we'll pick it up and finish ours. Basically, right now, we're in discussions with the port on this particular matter. I see.
Yeah, in our review of the schedule and budget for the project for the committee, we find the project is on schedule, but we've observed a couple stumbles with the testing of important equipment systems and with the commissioning activities and some of the early contracts, as the capital report has indicated. On budget, project is on budget, and the cost contingency is decreased slightly. We have one set of recommendations, recognizing that we've got roughly 15 months left to go on this project. We recommend the project put together a backup plan to kind of handle these issues with critical activities and testing and commissioning, and have that in their pocket as we go forward into the final year of the project. Our prior recommendations are tabled on the next slide. One's been accepted, and the second one is open but progressing. We're working with the project on that without any issues.
Any questions? The risk assessment is in the book for information. And if there's no further comment on it, Second Avenue subway? Progress on Second Avenue subway,
Yes,
Michael?
just a moment. I was just trying to get my, fire up my computer. Okay. Again, on schedule to meet December 2016 revenue service date, on budget. As I stated this morning, blasting for 72nd Street is complete, including 69th Street ancillaries. We have awarded, actually, in February, mid-February, the 72nd Street system finishes contract, and we advertise for the finishes for 86th Street, expecting to open bids April 3rd. The 90-day look ahead is in effect to complete all mass excavation at 96th Street. Once this is done, that project is complete right now. We are about 90% done there. And we expect to award 86th Street system and finishes contract. That, by the way, will be, in effect, all our contract will be awarded and will just go to completion.
86 is the last...
86 finishes the last contract. After that, we just do work. We don't bid anything else. Let me just move on. Again, this gives you a sense of the planned actual total versus the construction. We are tracking well on both, and at this point, we do not see any specific issues that we need to address. When we go to the schedule contingency for cost and time, the cost is well within our budget. We still have $376 million in contingency. So if you look at what we have there, is we have done half of the work, and actually the contingency, we accumulated money rather than the other way around. And I would say that this is attributable to both some good bids that we got, so we were able to save some money, as well as the fact that the project is very tightly managed. When it comes to schedule contingency, we are not doing that well. We only have about, the contingency has shrunk from 2009. We are about 48% of contingency, 54% of the work. We are looking at ways to recover some contingency and see how we can put back some time on the calendar. That is being worked on, and the last time actually we were able to add about 9 working days to primary contingency, but we still have a way to go in order to make sure that we are staying on target with our contingency. I'm going to start by going one by one. 86th Street, this is the project that was delayed at the start. We had an issue with Buy America that it took 4 months to resolve, so we're delayed 4 months of the gate. So right now we're working to try to recuperate some of the time that was lost. 72nd Street, 72nd Street, we have one specific issue at 301 69th Street. This is entrance number 1 that we are actually, we had some issues there. We had to change directions and we have moved the entry point from the building into the sidewalk. We have been able to do that. We still have to underpin a wall that divides 2 high-rise buildings, and we need to get into there. We are still negotiating with the owners to allow us to go in. We believe that right now they're happy that we are out of their building, so they may actually be amenable for us to do what we need to do. We are pursuing what I call the suspenders and belt approach. That means we're going to condemnation process at the same time that we're talking to them. So we hope to get there before we need to go to condemnation. Condemnation is a long process. We hope to be able to get that negotiated. It's not even a permanent condemnation. It's just an easement that we can work there.
For construction purposes.
Only for construction purposes, yeah. We own everything else.
Good. You're very good at negotiating those things. I'm sure you'll succeed.
Yeah, I hope so. 63rd Street and Lexington, this was resolved. We had an issue that delayed us about 5 months. It had to do with utility design, permit packages, and we also had an issue with some steel erection, and by now it was resolved, so we are moving along. This is not on the critical path for the project. That's it.
See?
Yeah, in our review of this project for the committee, we find the project is on schedule and the contingencies being maintained. There's one yellow flag I want to raise, and that is that we're concerned that the turnovers from the station contracts to the overall systems contractor aren't progressing to schedule. This is an important facet, although the current contract involved isn't on the critical path for completion of the job. We feel these turnovers are an important thing to start watching. Budget, we find the project's on budget, and as you've seen, the cost contingency remains quite favorable. In our recommendation of the project, we asked them to take a closer look at the turnover management process. The first 2 turnovers to the systems contractor are slipping schedule. And again, while not critical to the finish of the job, we think this process needs to be re-examined and shaped up a little so that as the successive turnovers come up, we get closer to our target and closer assurance of the finished date of the project. On our prior recommendations, they're tabled there. We have 1 closed, we have 3 still open. We're working with the project on the remaining 3, and we don't have any issues with those.
Is that it? Thank you. The risk assessment for 2nd Avenue is in your book for information. Are there any questions? If there are none, thank you, Michael. Thank you very much, independent engineer. And the next on the agenda is status of capital program, Hillary Ring.
Thank you. I'll make this quick. Regarding commitments and completions, in 2013, we have 55 major commitments projected, $5.3 billion in total. It's a big investment in rail and bus fleets, network expansion, track and signals. That $5.3 billion does not include Superstorm Sandy or the work that Michael was talking about splitting up the East Side Access contract into smaller ones. Through January, we've had 3 major commitments. They were all made on time. And through January, the agency's committed $465 million, which is slightly ahead of goal. By year end, they project that we will commit about $5.3 billion, which is about 100% of the plan. In 2013, we plan 44 major completions, about $5.4 billion. Same thing, so far they're projecting completion of 100% of the plan. Also in your book, you have a chart that illustrates the agency's progress towards achieving the $2 billion in efficiencies that we've been working toward. To date, we've achieved 41%, or $825 million, and all the rest have been identified, and we're just making the budget changes to effectuate those. That's all I got.
Anyone? That concludes the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.